Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the May 15th, 2024 regular Planning Commission meeting. At this time, we will reconvene our meeting. I am Tamara Blake Wallace, the Planning Commission Administrator. This meeting is being conducted as a hybrid meeting, allowing for both virtual and in-person participation. Serving as moderator tonight is Chris Goldsmith, who will now go over the rules and etiquette for the meeting.
Thank you. Good evening. I am Chris Goldsmith, and I will be your Zoom moderator. This meeting is being recorded, video and audio, for record-keeping purposes. Virtual attendees will be muted to ensure no interruptions to the evening. If attending virtually on a computer or smart device, raise your Zoom hand to indicate you wish to speak, and you will be acknowledged and unmuted at the appropriate time. If attending by telephone and you wish to ask a question or make comment, *9 on the phone's touchpad will raise your hand and you will be called upon in turn at the appropriate time. When the floor is open for public comments or questions, those attending in person will be asked to speak first, followed by those attending virtually when called upon. Please identify yourself every time you speak for the record and for the benefit of those who cannot see you. And in conclusion, please use the chat if you're experiencing technical issues with the Zoom video or audio, and we will work expeditiously to try to reconnect you and correct them. Please refrain from placing comments or questions in the Zoom chat, as not all in attendance at the public meeting can see those communications. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Chris. At this time, I will turn our meeting over to our acting chairman.
Good evening, folks. I'm Greg Kernan, Acting Chair of the Planning Commission. This time I will have roll call. Commissioner Wilson Freeland. Here. Commissioner Chris Gadway.
Present.
Commissioner James McQueen Sr.
Here.
Commissioner John Toohey.
Here.
Commissioner Lisa Williams.
Here.
Commissioner Dr. Richard Holler. Dr. Holler, are you there?
They're showing online, but they're muted.
Okay.
He's here.
Okay, thank you. We're all accounted for, thank you.
Okay, we had the Pledge of Allegiance.
Here.
Thank you, Dr. Holler. Thank you, Dr. Holler.
At this time, we've already done the Pledge of Allegiance earlier, so that will bring us to item number 3, action on proposed agenda.
Can I have a motion to approve the agenda, please?
So moved.
This is a second? All right, motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, we will have a Planning Commission proclamation.
I want to ask Maria Bueller to come forward, please. All the way up. All the way up.
All the way up.
All the way up. Maria, not to truly embarrass you, but we're going to work on it, okay? This is a proclamation from the Planning Commission for your many years of service, dedication, experience, insight, wisdom. And it reads, Calvert County, Maryland, whereas Ms. Bueller, having been appointed as an alternate member of the Planning Commission in December 2016, full member in March 2018, vice chair in May 2020, and then served as chair of the Planning Commission from May 2022 through March 2024. And whereas Ms. Bueller has actively participated in the oversight and management of the Calvert County Preservation and Future Growth, contributed to the development and approval of the Calvert County Comprehensive Plan, adopted in 2019 and amended in 2022, the Calvert County Land Preservation Parks and Recreation Plan in 2018, and again in 2022, and the Prince Frederick Town Center Master Plan and Dunkirk Town Center Master Plan update projects. And whereas Ms. Bueller, further contributions include several capital improvement plans and many text amendments. And whereas Ms. Bueller deserves recognition during the COVID-19 pandemic, when the governor's proclamation of state of emergency and existence of catastrophic health emergency issued March 5th, 2020, and the subsequent executive order issued March 30, 2022, prohibited large gatherings and events and required all persons to stay at home. And whereas Ms. Bueller made significant contributions in the oversight and implementation of the recently updated Planning Commission bylaws adopted in April 2024, and whereas Ms. Bueller, as chair of the Planning Commission, worked with the Planning and Zoning Department staff to provide opportunities for the public to be informed and engaged in Prince Frederick and Dunkirk Town Center Master Plan updates in a safe manner by hosting virtual meetings and workshops that were broadcast live and recorded later for later viewing. And I'm getting there. Whereas Ms. Bueller's dedication has proved invaluable in working with fellow Planning Commission members for the safety and well-being of all Calvert County citizens, her commitment to meeting both the spirit and regulations of the Calvert County zoning ordinance and comprehensive plan were impeccable. And whereas Planning Commission presents this proclamation as a permanent record of the Calvert County Planning Commission, establishing a special tribute to Ms. Bueller, recognizing the commendable actions during her many years of exemplary service on the Planning Commission for her many efforts to improve the quality of life for Calvert County citizens. Therefore, be it resolved by the Calvert County Planning Commission in appreciation of all Calvert Countyans, is hereby extended to Ms. Bueller, Maria Bueller, for her many years of outstanding service to local government. Be it further resolved that the Calvert County Planning Commission joins with family, friends, and fellow citizens of Maria in extending best wishes for continued success in all her future endeavors, given under our hands, and this seal on this 15th day of May 2024, signed the Calvert County Planning Commission, and all of us have signed it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. You deserve an award for reading on. Thank you to Tamara, everybody I've served with, past and present, everybody in the public, Board of County Commissioners, for the opportunity to serve. I appreciate you all so very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that's going to bring us to item number 4 on our agenda, actions on the proposed summary of actions. We'll start with item 4A, the April 17th, 2024 joint work session.
Can I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
A second? Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, James McQueen. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Item 4B, the April 17th, 2024 PC regular meeting.
Motion to approve is presented.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, we will have a recognition of persons attending the meeting. With us tonight, we have Mary Beth Cook, Director of Planning and Zoning, Carolyn Sunderland, Deputy Director of Planning. We have Jason Brinkley, our Ombudsman, Chris Finnemore, Principal Planner, Olivia Vedado, Planner 3, Colleen Brummett, Planner 2, Jay Cousineau, Planner 1. Online with us tonight, we have Lisa Shepard, our Admin Aide. From Department of Public Works, we have J.R. Cosgrove, Director. From Parks and Rec, we have Bob Brannon, Director. Also with us tonight, we have Becky Parkinson, our Planning Commission Clerk, and serving as our legal counsel, we have John Mattingly. Item 6, major subdivisions for final review and action. We do not have any tonight. Applications for site plan review and action. We do not have any on the agenda tonight. That brings us to item 8, major subdivision applications for preliminary review and action. We have item 8A, SD 142999, Magnolia Ridge, lots 1 through 164, townhouses, and lot 165, multifamily, lot 1, section 2, which is non-residential, along with open spaces A through H and pump station outlot A. Chris?
Thank you, Tamara. Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Christine Finnemore, Principal Planner with the Department of Planning and Zoning. I'll be presenting the preliminary subdivision plan staff report for the project known as Magnolia Ridge. The subdivision preliminary plan was accepted for review by the Subdivision Evaluation Group, also known as SEG, at their regular meeting in August of 2023. Subdivision review, as we know, is a three-step process consisting of the conceptual subdivision plan, the preliminary subdivision plan, and final plat. Staff have reviewed the subdivision for compliance with the Calvert County Comprehensive Plan, the Calvert County Zoning Ordinance, as amended, the Prince Frederick Zoning Ordinance, and other county ordinances and regulations. Here we go. Here we have a location map. The property is located in the Prince Frederick Town Center. Here you see the location map of the property. And the orange outline that you see is the Prince Frederick Town Center boundary. The site is located on the east side of Maryland 24, on the north side of Maryland 402, also known as Dares Beach Road, and it's just west of Calvert High School. The zoning is town center. It's in the Newtown sub area. And again, the orange line is the Prince Frederick Town Center boundary. The colors that you see are the Prince Frederick Town Center sub areas. The pinkish color where the site is located is the Newtown sub area. This exhibit shows the tax map. The site is actually 2 parcels. They are highlighted. This is tax map 24, parcels 359 and 566. The total acreage of the site is 30.37 acres. And our next exhibit is an aerial photo taken in 2023 of the site and surrounding area. You see Calvert High School and Calvert Middle School labeled, as well as the Harriet Elizabeth Brown Community Center, in which we're having this meeting. Maryland 402, also known as Dares Beach Road, and Maryland 24, just for context. There we go. This is one of the sheets out of the preliminary plan, which is attached to your packet. The full 6-page preliminary plan is included and linked on the Planning Commission agenda. The proposed subdivision consists of 164 townhouse lots. Lot 165, which if you're looking at the screen is on the left, more or less, which will house 2 buildings with 96 multifamily units. Open space parcels A through H. Lot 1, section 2, again, if you're looking at the screen, it's the furthest right at the corner of Fox Run Boulevard and Dares Beach Road. That is currently proposed as non-residential. The site also includes private alleyways and rights-of-way. Parcel 359, which is the smaller of the 2 parcels in the project application, is proposed to be divided into 2. Part of that will go to this project, and part of it will go to another project to the west of this project, as well as Outlot A, which is a future pump station lot. And the acreages for each of those is included on the cover sheet of the plan. A few high points to cover with regards to the project. Density is proposed at 8.56 units per acre. All access within the subdivision is proposed as private, within private rights-of-way and private alleyways, including private access easements. Open space requirements are being met. Recreational amenities requirements are being met with a combination of play fields, mini parks, an outdoor community rec building, an indoor community recreation building. Specific requirements and design are being reviewed with the site plan. The subdivision project must meet all requirements for adequate public facilities, including schools and roads. The subdivision is proposed to be served by public water and sewer. Proposed utility easements are shown on the preliminary plan. Road names have been submitted for review and are approved by staff in the Department of Public Safety as well as the Department of Planning and Zoning. Again, the project must go through the 3-step process for subdivision approval prior to submitting permit applications. We are at step 2, which is the preliminary subdivision plan. The project also needs to go through the three-step process for site plan. Included in the staff report are some recommendations on pages 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6, which are basically high point comments from staff level review. The next steps are included on page 6. At this time, I'll entertain any questions. I also do want to mention that the surveyor for the project is here with us tonight, as well as the applicant.
Commissioners, questions?
We're looking at roughly 250 units, dwelling units. And from what I can see, we've got 2 ingress and egress points, is that correct? One on Tempest, and that only goes out on the Fox Run, and then the other on Fox Run directly?
That is correct. Fox Run Boulevard, not to prolong the explanation, Fox Run Boulevard's right-of-way is existing, but only a portion of Fox Run Boulevard itself is constructed. It is just past the point where the access for Tempest is proposed.
Right, and both exits off of Fox Run onto Dares Beach Road and onto Route 4 at the other end are also the ingress and egress points for school buses in the morning and afternoon, correct? Because you've got the school, you've got Calvert High School, plus you've got the middle school and whatnot behind Fox Run Shopping Center. All of those dump out at the traffic light on 2-4 currently. The ones behind do, and then the other ones come out at the other end of Fox Run.
Correct. So Fox Run Boulevard, if you connected it, would basically connect Calvert Middle School and Calvert High School. And again, I'm not a traffic engineer, nor do
Right.
I work for the Board of Ed.
I get it.
So the answer is yes. So Steve Oberg on behalf of the applicant. So the answer to your question, Commissioner, is yes. Once Fox Run Boulevard is completed, you are correct.
And we've got currently 2 lanes inbound and outbound at Route 4. And I believe it's proposed for 2 lanes inbound and outbound at Dares Beach Road. Is that correct?
I think that's accurate.
The reason why I ask is because I've had the displeasure of sitting in the shopping center at Fox Run, either in the morning or the afternoon, waiting for 40, 30, 40, 50 school buses to come out onto Route 4, and to put an additional 400 to 500 cars also in the morning or the afternoon coming and going at the same time. I just foresee that as being a major congestion issue getting out onto Dares Beach Road from the high school, as well as out onto Route 4 from Fox Run Shopping Center. Because I've literally sat there and seen that light take 4 cycles, sometimes 5, to get the amount of traffic out onto Route 4 before adding an additional possibly 500 cars traveling in and out of there on a daily basis.
Yeah, and I think that's why they require a traffic study, right? And which we've had in this case like 2 times. I spoke with the traffic engineer as recently as this afternoon. So you are correct that gets factored into their study. The results of the study indicate that once completed, all of the signaled and unsignaled intersections and roadways will meet the adequate public facility requirement.
But I don't understand how that could if that intersection is already rated an F by the state.
Well, the intersection that's rated F by the state is Dares Beach and Route 4.
No.
What's actually going to happen is it's going to improve once Fox Run Boulevard is completed.
The intersection.
When will Fox Run Boulevard be completed in relation to the construction starting of this development?
Yeah, so we have been working very, very closely with DPW on that very issue, back and forth. I think you heard at the concept hearing a couple of years ago, that we are shouldering, this partnership there, we're shouldering the soft costs for that. It's in the works. We've gone back and forth several times with comments. In terms of a projection on a timeline, I'll defer to Anthony Olixon on that.
Evening, Anthony Olixon. I'm Principal Engineer with COA Barrett on this. So the plans for Fox Run Boulevard have received concept approval and have gone through 3 rounds of review with DPW and has most recently been resubmitted back for them for the review. The goal there is to get it approved and constructed. I don't want to step on the director of DPW's shoes, but I think the intent is to try to have that completed before the next school season.
I don't understand how adding a road, I see how it connects on both ends, but how adding a road out to that intersection would lessen the traffic flow and adding 400 to 500 additional, actually, yeah, 400 to 500, possibly even 800 additional trips per day.
Yeah, so it's a failing, Dares Beach and Route 4 is failing on the PM traffic, and so the
AM as well.
Well, I can only go on
Okay.
with the engineers
Okay.
report said, which was PM, so it
All
may
right.
be AM as well, but the report from Lionheart is PM failing, and that will improve once Fox Run Boulevard is completed.
What was his basis for that? Any idea?
I don't have an idea. My assumption is that there's another, kind of off Route 4, roadway that's going in, but I don't have a direct answer for you on that.
So, Commissioner Gadway,
Yes, sir.
this area has been studied through multiple projects that we've done in the area, Armory Square being the most recent, as well as the Magnolia projects. So the most conservative traffic study that was approved by SHA and with the Armory Square development actually included somewhere upwards of 470 units on this, as well as an additional 100,000 square feet of commercial along the frontage of this property that goes along Dares Beach Road. The results of that study showed acceptable levels of service. That was approved. The Armory Square project's actually under construction now, and all the traffic studies associated with both projects have been approved at this point.
Are the traffic studies recommending a light or a circle at the intersection of Dares Beach Fairground and Fox Run?
No, sir. It didn't meet the warrants for that.
Any other questions?
When would we be able to see the traffic studies? Or can we?
Christine?
The traffic studies are submitted anytime you do a site development plan. We could certainly furnish those to you through our Planning Commission Administrator. They're reviewed by, in this case, State Highway as well as Public Works.
Yeah, I just remember both those intersections being major problems, and adding a major development into the mix right next to them, in addition to a major shopping center. I just don't understand how they can get better without redesigning those 2 intersections, and to the best of my knowledge, there's no plans on redesigning those. Unless I'm wrong.
Anthony Olexon again. So some of the background information, I think, of what you're thinking about too, as well, is that they were failing before the improvements 2, 2, and 4, and the intersection improvements at Dares Beach Road and Route 2 and 4. Right. So now that intersection's been widened out, and that's partially the connection of Fox Run Boulevard together with the improvements that were done by State Highway is what improves that intersection.
I'd love to see those. Thanks.
Sure.
I'd like to make a motion.
Thank you, Ms. Williams.
I'd make a motion to approve SD-14299 Magnolia Ridge preliminary subdivision plan with the conditions that's listed above, as recommended by staff.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
I believe she missed a 9 in her.
I think she did too, yeah. Restate your motion, Lisa, please.
Yes, I would like to make a motion to approve SD 142999 Magnolia Ridge preliminary subdivision plan approval with the conditions as listed above, as recommended by staff.
All right, we have a motion. Mr. Tui, is your second still good?
Yes,
Thank you.
still good.
All right, is there further discussion?
Because this motion's in here, I guess we didn't get the opportunity to add the, to be able to view the traffic study, correct?
You can do that. Wait, now you can amend the motion if you want to. If it's acceptable to Ms. Williams.
Will we see the traffic study at some point in the future process of this?
No, unless you specifically asked to.
Mr. Gadwood?
And
We can send that out by email to the planning commission members.
Mr. Gadwood, is that
I'm
satisfactory?
hesitant to vote in the affirmative on this because what we would look to be doing is asking for a deferral based on we don't have enough information
Okay,
in
well,
front of us. but
Okay, we're gonna,
that's
we're
not
gonna deal with the
motion.
original motion.
Right.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
I,
Those opposed?
No.
No.
We have 2 noes, and they are Commissioners, 3 noes. Commissioners Gadway, McQueen Senior, Freeland. The ayes are Tui, Williams. Dr. Holler, what is your vote?
Aye.
So we are
3-3.
3-3,
Up to you, sir.
and the chair votes aye. Okay, thank you.
thank you.
All right, thank you, Chris.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you, Christine.
Okay, that brings us to item 8B, SD 142770, Lesby Villas, Lot 1, Section 2 of the Lesby Town Center, and it's the Village Residential District.
Thank you. Musical chairs. Good evening, everybody. I'm Olivia Vidato with Planning and Zoning. This project before you is Lesby Villas, SD 142770 for Lot 1, Section 2, Tax Map 42, Parcel 406. This property is in Lesby, on Lesby Parkway and Rousby Hall Road. I'm going to go over just a little bit of background in my PowerPoint presentation. This consists of 26.23 acres. This before you is for the creation of one buildable lot for the proposed project. Lesby Villas is a proposed multifamily residential project that received conceptual site plan approval from the Planning Commission on March 17th, 2021. It's for 276 multifamily dwelling units. The detailed site plan has been submitted and is under review. Oh, come on. Oh, thank you. Thank you. So this is showing you the site with the topo. The blue rectangle, sort of to the north, is the village green, which we will talk about. There's the site again as the aerial. You can see where Lesby Parkway is, H.D. Truman Road. This is the layout. You see the road that comes in. This is a private road that is going in there. This is some of the schematics that went with the site plan originally that came before you, the conceptual site plan that was reviewed. You can see where the village commercial district is. The blue is the future village green. And then what you see is the buildings that came before you and approved with the site plan. Again, this was a different view of that. And another close-up. I just wanted to refresh everybody. Some of the board members I don't think were on the board at that time, and I was not the one that presented that either. This is the preliminary subdivision plan, and I think, yes, this is the pretty colored rendering. So everything you see in gray would be the access and travel ways in the site. The green is the open space. The property, as you saw, is currently undeveloped and wooded, except for an existing stormwater management facility near the existing road. Chesapeake Ranch Estates is also adjacent to this property on the east and the south. Just to let you know, based on discussions between the engineer and staff, an additional access point was added along the frontage of Lusby Parkway. That will be shown on the detailed site plan. It will not be shown on this because this is just creating the buildable lot for the project. The following agencies have submitted comments, and current comments are attached when you look at your report. This has been reviewed by the subdivision staff and the review agencies listed in your staff report. It's found to be consistent with the Calvert County Comprehensive Plan and in compliance with the Calvert County zoning ordinance, subdivision regulations, Prince Frederick Town Center Master Plan and zoning ordinance, as well as any other applicable county ordinances and design standards. Therefore, staff recommends approval of the proposed preliminary plan, SD-142770, Lusby Villas, Lot 1, Section 2, subject to the following conditions. I am not going to go over all of them. I'm just going to touch on a few. So during the development of the property on the north side of the Lusby Parkway, a memorandum of understanding, MOU, dated January 26, 2005, was agreed to and signed by the developer, Lusby Town Center LLC, and the Planning Commission. Per that MOU, the residential density for the subject property can be calculated based on 30.996 acres if the MOU elements and requirements are addressed in its entirety. All items have been satisfied except for the Village Green area being placed in escrow by the owner and then deeded to the county. But what happened was, after the MOU was signed, additional discussion took place, and it was allowing the developer the ability to adjust the lot line of the need, if needed, on the Village Green, and therefore they delayed deeding to the county. This deed now for the Village Green has been submitted to the county attorney for review and approval. Once approved, the deed shall be recorded and noted on the final plats. Open space requirements for this project are 13.8 acres. There are 15.79 acres of open space being provided, so they are over the open space requirements. The rec area, also for the active recreation, playing fields, mini parks, paved areas, sidewalk, fitness trail, and indoor community space were addressed with the site plan, and the applicant is also exceeding all those requirements as well, as you can see by the chart. Parking requirements are for 519 spaces, with 569 being provided, which also include ADA spaces, so again, they are exceeding the requirements there. The road name of Lusby Villas Court was submitted and has been approved and will be shown on the final site plan and the other plans. With this project, the applicant is proposing to remove 2.7 acres of existing forest retention area. And in order to do that, they will have to do mitigation to satisfy the requirements. They are proposing to record a total of 14.73 acres of forest retention offsite on the GOT property. There will have to be a replatting submitted, reviewed, and approved and recorded prior to final plat approval for that FRA. Total number of TDRs that are required will also be required to be recorded for the affidavits with that and noted on the final plat. Your next steps are listed at the end of the staff report. If you have any questions that I can answer, I'm happy to. The applicant is here, also the owner, the engineer as well. So if you have any questions.
Which set of documents are we supposed to go off of in the package that was submitted to us? Because there's two different sets of maps or descriptions. Some are showing what you have up here with two egresses and entrances. Another set shows one.
I
Are-
put
is it-
references in there for what was approved with the conceptual site plan, which was several years ago. Things change over time.
Right.
This is the preliminary plan that is before you tonight. All this is doing is creating lot 1, just for it to be the buildable lot for them to move forward with the site plan and permits once approved.
In this diagram in front of you, again, Steve Oberg on behalf of the applicant shows the two ingress and egress.
Right, but we were also submitted two that showed only one.
Understood.
Makes it,
I'm looking at one also, out the Lusby Parkway. So where's the other one? Sorry.
Now, Olivia, you mentioned earlier that we had another entrance egress coming. Is that a third one?
There would only be 2 along Lusby Parkway. The original came in where you see the roundabout. Go back to the pretty. There will be another one to the west when you're coming in before the main entrance. Again,
which, go ahead.
so there are multiple plans that come in, and what I was trying to show you was the latest and greatest that we had. They were working on these plans to try to get them as close to what was being reviewed and discussed for approval tonight with this plan that you see before you right here. Other plans were what I had in at the time, or they were what came in with the approval of the conceptual site plan.
Were there any public roadways that were considered to be associated with this?
At one point, they looked at doing this as a public right-of-way, and then in discussions with Public Works, it was decided that that was not the best place to proceed for a public right-of-way. And the engineer can probably elaborate on that, or the director of Public Works.
The second egress that you've added, and the original one, goes in front of the shopping center to a road where you have to make a right. There's no ability to make a left. Okay? Now you're adding another egress to the same problem. So the amount of cars going out in front of the shopping center. The other thing, this egress that you added, you're looking at the back of a shopping center.
I will let the engineer address where
So-
the access is and
Mr.
crossover.
Thank you. Mr. Queen, I'm Anthony Olexon, COA Barrett. So try to, Olivia was absolutely right. She's kind of in a tough spot just not having the history with this. When the concept site plan came through, there was only the one access out to Lusby Parkway that was proposed with the major road that comes down the middle that has the roundabout around it. The subdivision ordinance, or the zoning ordinance, dictates a second entrance based upon the number of lots, and since this is only one, there was only one that was required. We discussed it with public safety. They were good with one as well. There was a request just to put a second entrance there, which we added to where you're seeing it on the plan now. So that's been incorporated into the prelim plan in front of you today, and has also been incorporated into the site plan that's currently under review. As part of the site plan process, we're actually doing the road plans for Lusby Parkway as well to continue the extension down that far. So your question is very valid, is the center median that is there actually stops to allow people to make a left-hand turn to come out of there as well. It's really acting more as a secondary access where the primary access is coming down into the site and splitting between the two around that roundabout.
So the second one is where the future Lusby Parkway is gonna go across, attached to Gunsmoke, which is
Correct.
part of the Ranch Club.
Mhm.
Correct. So that, we're extending it to that second entrance that's there today, but the coordination and my understanding of being able to actually bring it into the Ranch Club required, like the acquisition of property and some other challenges that kind of I haven't seen that come to fruition yet, but the right-of-way is still there to make that connection at some point if it's needed.
Right. So I do know the Ranch Club did sign off on it a while ago. So the state's had it. So the state should be able to provide the information we need to see when that's gonna open or if it's gonna be worked on.
I'm not sure, and I don't know if Director Cosgrove wants to take some of this, but it's not a state right-of-way, it's a local right-of-way, so it would all be handled by the county.
It's all gonna be a county road.
Good evening, Commissioner. J.R. Cosgrove, Director of Public Works. So the extension of Leslie Parkway into the Ranch Club would be a county project. It's not currently in the 6-year CIP. It was a couple years ago, but it has been removed, mainly because of lack of funding and the cost it would take. The vertical alignment going in to Gunsmoot is so drastic. To meet a vertical curve requirement would basically require taking about 3 or 4 homes, or not taking, but purchasing the property. And it's just the acquisition of the land and the cost is just too great at this point in time.
Did I catch you just saying that the county's gonna take over Ranch Club roads?
Absolutely not.
Well, that's,
That's good, Chris. I like that.
but I thought I just heard you say that.
No, sir.
You
I
said,
it was a
you
county
said it would be a
project to-
county project to tie into
Gunsmoot.
a private development and onto a private roadway.
That's different than taking over Chesapeake Ranch Estate.
Well, I understand, but how can the county, and I'm sorry, I just trying to wrap my head around this. Private road development here, private planned urban development over here with private roadways. Why would the county invest the county taxpayer dollars to connect those two private systems?
That's why it's no longer in the CIP.
Okay, all right.
Anything else? Thank you.
So now, you've got 2 egresses out. Okay?
Yes.
Since we've got that one done. So you're gonna go out to Rosby Hall Road. And that road, you have to make a right to go up to Truman, HG, and then through the light, that's an intersection, to get to Route 4. That is a danger zone. It's been that way for a long time. A lot of people come up Rousby Road. The number of cars coming up Rousby is part of the Chesapeake Ranch Club, Drum Point, Olivet Road. I could just name, has there a study been done on the roads? I'd love to see that.
Anthony Olexon's, good. Steve, do you want to go ahead? So the traffic study was included with the concept site plan review and approval process and also approved at that time, and it showed an acceptable level of service. Some of what you're not seeing here, Mr. McQueen, is I think it's Village Center Drive that goes between the shopping center as well, that also provides you access out to HG Truman through there too.
Right turn only.
Yes, sir.
Which takes you right to Appeal, which happens to be 2 schools and a light, and the Ranch Club coming out. It already is full, and we're gonna add more cars heading in that direction. And once again, buses. I'm there for, I live there. I see it. I deal with it every day. I love to see a traffic plan showing me that there's not gonna be a problem.
So that, again, that traffic plan was part of the submittal of the concept approval. It's been approved as well, and it shows all operating level of services needed according to the zoning ordinance.
I'd like to point out that since that study was done and submitted on the concept plan, you've clearly put in a substantive change by putting in a second entrance and egress point. And I would argue that that traffic study would be null and void because of the substantive change to the development. You put 50% more ingress egress in there, that's pretty significant.
All of the traffic from the development still goes out to the same place, which is Lesby Parkway. So whether the entrance comes out of 1 or comes out of 2, it doesn't matter. It all ends up in the same spot. So the traffic study would still be valid because from that point, which would actually be a 4-way stop there that we created in order to safely cross pedestrians from this development over to the commercial development, everyone would be back to that same point anyway, sir.
So you're gonna put a 4-way stop on the main entrance on that's a what, 3-lane road there?
Onto Lesby Parkway? Yes. That is a 4-lane stop. Otherwise, it would be you'd have a situation where you'd have pedestrians trying to cross an uncontrolled stop, which would be a safety issue. So it's not required. It's something that we propose to address a safety issue with pedestrians, that we imagine creating the walkable communities of the comprehensive plan and the zoning ordinance that they're looking for, that people could walk from this center over across the street to either, the Weiss Shopping Center or the Giant Shopping Center. I believe it's the best practice to have that there.
So you just stepped into it again. So the Giant Shopping Center's down the road. So only for a person to walk to it, they're gonna have to cross a road without crossing.
Where at, sir?
The Giant Shopping Center.
The crossing where?
There is no crossing. So the sidewalk goes along Truman, and there is no crossing between across Truman to the giant shopping center currently.
So it's my understanding there wouldn't be any requirement of this subdivision to do that. That would have to be something that the county would have to take up with the state.
That's true. Yeah, I agree with you there, but just the way you stated,
I apologize. You're
they're
correct.
not gonna be able to walk to that
Well, there-
shopping
it-
center safely.
I understand. It definitely does bring it to the point of the other shopping center that's there as well.
And just a note to the planning commission, we are here tonight for the subdivision of the property. You will have another opportunity to actually look at the site plan.
Thank
Or,
Mr. Chair, I'd
or
like to
will they
make-
have another opportunity?
Can
No,
I ask a question
Conceptual.
first?
Absolutely.
conceptual, okay, I'm
We've already
sorry.
done that.
No, you've already done conceptual approval of the site plan.
Mr. Freeland.
I stand corrected, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My question is to the county attorney. Can the planning commission legally enter into an MOU that commits the county commissioners into receiving land in exchange for increased density?
That would be impermissible.
So it's an unconventional way that it was done back then by this board. I don't understand why. It would have been just as easy for them to make a recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners and they would have signed off on it. That being said, both parties are moving forward with the same understanding that was set forth in writing in '05. The deed has now been prepared. It's with Mr. Mattingly's office for review. So that's, the parties are moving forward despite the fact that it was done a little unconventional.
I mean, I see planning commission signatures on here, but I don't see Board of County Commissioners signatures. So, it concerns me that the MOU may not have any standing.
But again, the good news is the parties are moving forward with the same, whether it has to be rememorialized, we're moving forward with the same understanding. Everything's been satisfied there, subject to Mr. Mattingly's approval of the deed. So.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mr. Gadway.
Are you good?
I was kind of thinking Mr. Mattingly was going to say something else, but
Sure, I could say something else. If we're gonna, instead of speaking in hypotheticals, if we're gonna talk about the 2005, my bigger problem actually is that the planning commission obligated the county commissioners to expend funds, which we absolutely have no constitutional right to do. And that's still an issue. Unfortunately, the deed that was prepared and sent over to us, that's also a problem because those same obligations appear in the deed.
So it's just a matter of, we gotta work through that, but that doesn't have any impact on, the issue for tonight. Can be, you all can grant the request subject to resolution of the conditions that staff has recommended, including, those, that are here in front of us because of the MOU. Really doesn't have a bearing on the underlying issue in front of you.
I think.
Mr. Gadway.
I think it does have some bearing on it in some way, shape, or form. But I'd like to make a motion that we defer this to a future date when we can get accurate, current traffic study information that depicts the development as it's proposed currently, not as it was originally proposed, as well as direction from the county commissioners on whether or not the situation with the MOU is going to be resolved by them.
second.
Mr. Mattingly, is that a good enough motion before I go any further?
The deferral is fine. I would like to hear a little bit more clarity on how we're gonna get direction from the Board of County Commissioners with anything pending in front of them on this. I'm sorry, did that not pick me up? I guess my problem with the motion is that I don't know how we would get a recommendation from the BOCC without anything pending in front of
I
it.
got you.
I'm not asking for a recommendation from the BOCC. I understand that there's an issue with the MOU from 18, 19 years ago. And we're being told that it is working on being resolved.
Correct.
And from one side of the party, not the other side of the party.
Well, and I'm not trying to advocate here, but I would say this: there has been no challenge to the MOU, and I think that's what Steve was Mr. Oberg was saying. Now, that doesn't mean that sua sponte, you can't challenge it. Obviously, you can. My only problem with your motion, once again, is I have no, I don't, there's not a mechanism in place for us to get direction from the Board of County Commissioners.
Am I procedurally allowed to speak at this point?
You have a question, you'll make a comment.
Well, it's a comment.
Okay,
Again,
all right.
the MOU has no impact on the issue that's in front of you tonight. Whether the MOU goes away and density is based on 30 acres or 26 acres has no bearing.
It's outside of our purview, right?
On the issue of the subdivision, so that doesn't have an impact on tonight's issue.
Then why was it brought to our attention and put into our packages, sir?
The same reason why there are 10 other conditions that are brought to your attention. They have to be satisfied before we ultimately, record our plats and get our permits. It's one other thing that we need to deal with.
So, kind of putting the cart in front of the horse?
I wouldn't say so. I mean, we have a whole bunch of different conditions that we have to satisfy before we're ready to get permits, so it's just another condition to deal with.
So Steve, what you're telling us is either a new MOU will be created between your client and the Board of County Commissioners, who should have been first, not the Planning Commission.
I don't know the ultimate resolution. I only know that Mr. Mattingly and I have been in communication, will be in communication about what the best way is to move forward on this issue. Whether it's another MOU that's executed, great. Whether it's moving forward under the other one despite its alleged faults, I don't know the answer to that yet. How it's going to be resolved, I can only tell you that it will be resolved. It must be resolved, like all of the other conditions.
Mr. Mattingly, the question of the MOU, that's between your office and the Board of County Commissioners, I believe. Is that correct?
Well, I would actually have to ask Olivia one question on that.
Okay.
If in fact, does the MOU allow for instance, density that would not be allowed under the regulations that were in effect when this application came in?
No. And I wanted to just clarify when you asked about why staff included this. I was not part of the review back in 2005 for the site plan that the MOU was originated from. And I wasn't part of the review of this from the beginning, but the only responsibility that I saw was this was tied to this acreage for density based on what was placed in the MOU. Everything had been satisfied except for the deed being provided in escrow and then recorded to the county commissioners based on that MOU, and then finding out that it didn't happen because they wanted the ability to shift the line and the acreage sum if they had to during development, and that was agreed upon at that time back in 2005. So since it did address this property and the density, the comment was put in there, please provide the deed for review by the county attorney, and then to have it recorded and add that as a note to the final plat. If the MOU didn't exist, this could move forward exactly as it is shown right now. This is only for the creation of Lot 1 to make it buildable to move forward.
With that answer, then it wouldn't affect it.
No.
Because as Mr. Oberg pointed out, we can fix the deed. The deed's not really a problem. Now, there may be issues as to for future obligations, financial obligations of the county commissioners that we may have to work around. But if the density's not being changed, the MOU's not varying the obligations under the current zoning ordinance.
So what is the current density for the parcel? What's allowed?
The current density that they're using is the 26.23 acres of this parcel and the additional acreage from the village green. That was what was agreed to. If that went away and they were just using the 26.23 acres, it's going to change their base conventional density and increase the number of TDRs. but they would still be permitted to move forward with the number of units that they have because they didn't max out on the overall density with this.
And with that being said, that brings this MOU integral to the situation because it changes the amount of either TDRs or the base density that you were just talking about, correct?
Fluctuating numbers that would just change the notes on the plat and the number of TDRs that they're required to have.
Not at this step, Commissioner Gadway.
No,
But you're saying it would change the amount of TDRs that would be required?
it would change the number of TDRs that are required, yes.
Okay. So with that being said, without knowing how many TDRs that would change, again, depending on what would happen with the county commissioners, either accepting or agreeing to any or all portions of this MOU could have implications on how many TDRs would be used or not, which I think would be a good reason for a deferral at this point, to be able to sit there and say, let's pause it. Let's get the information from the county commissioners as far as whether or not, because there's a lot of unknowns wrapped up in here, I think. And that's why I made the motion to go ahead and wait,
All right.
defer it for the,
Right, your motion was not accepted by council, so I'm gonna ask you to withdraw, but what he just said, is that acceptable?
That would be acceptable.
Okay, withdraw your motion and restate it, please, Mr. Gadway. If you can.
you're gonna have to help me out on what exactly I just said. I'd like to make a motion to defer this for 2 items.
Okay.
One, so we can see an accurate, up-to-date traffic study that properly depicts the entrances as described, since they've been changed since the last study. Additional information, help me out, council. I said it, but I don't remember it.
Determination as to whether the Board of County Commissioners will accept the obligations that are contained within the MOU.
That sounds almost exactly correct. Thank you.
Gee, thanks.
You got a great memory. You got a great memory.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion from anyone?
Yeah, again, to remind you that we're just here to create one lot. We're not here to deal with TDRs. The purpose, section 7-107 of the zoning code, the purpose of this meeting is to provide a basis for the planning commission to grant conditional approval of a proposed subdivision in order to minimize changes and revisions which might be otherwise necessary on the final plat. It's not to work out all of these fine details. So we can in fact move forward with creating the one lot regardless of the DDR issue.
If I'm, sorry Steve, but they made a motion right now, there's not supposed to be any more.
Right.
I was just following the chairman's lead, but understood.
I'm under roll call vote. Commissioner Gadway, on your motion to defer.
No, I'm sorry. Sorry, my motion is to defer.
Really? Really?
Yes, sorry. Yes, to defer. Sorry about that.
Commissioner Freeland.
Yes.
Commissioner Tui.
No.
Commissioner McQueen.
Yes.
Commissioner Williams.
No.
Dr. Holler. Commissioner Dr. Holler.
Dr. Holler, you need to unmute.
No.
No.
Once again, we are at 3 yeses and 3 nos. The chair votes no. So we're good.
So do you need another motion?
Nope. Yep, we need.
Yes,
another
we
motion.
do need
Yeah, we
another
do.
motion.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would like to make a motion to approve ST 142770, Lesby Villas, Lot 1, Section 2, with the conditions as listed above, as recommended by staff.
I need a second.
I will second that.
All right, thank you. Any more discussion? Is that a good motion, Mr. Mattingly?
Perfect.
Thank you. Roll call vote again. Commissioner Gadway?
No.
No, okay. Commissioner Freeland?
No.
Commissioner Tui?
Yes.
McQueen?
No.
Commissioner Williams?
Yes.
Dr. Holler?
Yes.
3-3 tie. Chair votes yes. Aye.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you. That brings us to item 9, long-range planning, and we do not have any items on the agenda tonight. That brings us to item 10, items for discussion and/or action. Item 10A is the Program Open Space Annual Program for FY 2025, Department of Parks and Recreation.
Good evening, Commissioners. Bob Branham, Director of Parks and Recreation. I'm here to discuss Program Open Space Annual Program.
Bob, can you speak into the microphone?
Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry. So I'm here for Program Open Space Annual Program for fiscal year 2025. I'll read the memo. Background, Calvert County is required to submit a Program Open Space Annual Program to the Maryland Department of Natural Resources and the Maryland Department of Planning each year before July 1st in order to remain eligible for Program Open Space funds. The annual program includes proposed acquisition and development projects. A project is not eligible for POS funding unless it is listed in the annual program. The municipalities may submit their programs through their county. Calvert County submits municipal projects on behalf of the towns of Chesapeake Beach and North Beach. County staff works with the towns in preparing the annual program. There are more projects listed in the annual program than are ever likely to be funded, giving available resources. Listing a project does not constitute a commitment on part of the Board of County Commissioners or the municipalities, and the list can be amended at any time. Discussion. Title III, Section 3-205 of the Land Use Article of the Maryland Annotated Code specifies that certain types of projects may not be constructed or authorized in the local jurisdiction until approved by the Planning Commission as consistent with the comprehensive plan. Types of public projects include streets, squares, parks, or other public ways, grounds, or open spaces, public buildings, or structures and utilities. The documents that were attached for your review are our fiscal year 2025 Program Open Space Annual Program Projects, consistency with the comprehensive plan, Calvert County fiscal year 2025 Program Open Space Annual Program, Calvert County fiscal year 2025 Program Open Space Annual Program Project Descriptions. The fiscal year 2025 POS Annual Program is scheduled to be presented to the Board of County Commissioners on June 18th, 2024 for approval and authorization to submit them to the state. Conclusion recommendation. 1, review and approve the fiscal year 2025 Program Open Space Annual Program Projects as it is consistent with the Calvert County Comprehensive Plan that was adopted in 2019 and amended in 2022. And 2, recommend that the Board of County Commissioners approve the fiscal year 2025 Program Open Space Annual Program.
Commissioners, questions, comments?
I'm good.
Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
move to approve the fiscal year 2025 Program of Open Space Annual Program projects, finding them consistent with the current Calvert County Comprehensive Plan, and recommend that the BOCC approve and forward to Maryland Department of Natural Resources.
Thank you. Is there a second?
So, second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? See how easy that was, Bob?
Thank you, sir.
Should have put you first.
Thank you, Bob.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on, that brings us to item 11, site plan and subdivision application list. They are provided to the board for informational purposes. Are there any questions or discussion on any of those items? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to public comment, item 12.
Do we have anyone online, Mr. Buckmaster?
Actually, we do, Mr. Mattingly. I have 2 phone callers. If either of you wish to make comment, you could raise your hand to let me know that you wish to speak, and then I can unmute you.
And I'm sorry, Ms. Goldsmith, I didn't know you were running to Zoom. I apologize.
Not at all, Mr. Mattingly. So anyway, phone callers, if you do wish to speak, you can raise your hand by pressing *9 on your keypad.
Is there anyone at the meeting that would like to come up and speak? Mr. Estes?
My name is Bob Estes. I'm representing the Friends of Hunting Creek. I have a couple of comments. Excuse me?
Go ahead, go ahead.
It's okay. It's okay, Mr. Estes. You can go
Oh,
ahead.
okay, fine. So first is regarding Magnolia Ridge. I suspect that many of you all have children. I have a child as well. And most of us would not be satisfied with merely giving the child food, water, place to go to school. And in talking with Mr. Gertz on the side, I think he also feels that way in terms of protecting the environment, going maybe slightly beyond, maybe a little bit beyond the basics to help protect the environment. And I just want to say that I appreciate that attitude. Not everybody will give you appreciations for attitude, and I believe in trying to be balanced. And I've seen some of his work around, and it seems to be in pretty good shape in terms of, relatively good shape in terms of stormwater management during the development of the lots. I did discuss a couple of things with him. It really sounded like he would take a look at it and get it fixed. I've seen them do fixes on their own, and I appreciate that as well. So hopefully that's exactly what will happen. On the other hand, traffic studies. Traffic is important here in this county, and it's certainly we're not building enough roads to handle it currently, and it's not likely that we're going to build enough roads to make it adequate. Now maybe you all don't mind sitting in traffic or the dangers of excess traffic. I think most of the populace would agree with worrying about that. But what I saw tonight really did bother me. It's not my feeling in listening to you all that the people that voted against delaying both of these projects because not enough traffic was in place, traffic information. It's not my impression that the people that voted against that motion really have the knowledge, or maybe they don't even care about traffic. Maybe they care mostly about development, building. I find that troubling. I think the populace would also find that troubling. It sure looks a lot more like rubber stamping versus detailed knowledge of the problems or sensitivity. And that's about all I have to say. And I'm a citizen. I watch this stuff. I talk to people. They care about this. And I didn't see the level of concern that I would have liked to have seen. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Estes.
Do we have any other speakers?
We don't at this time.
No. No hands have been raised online.
All right, that ends our public comment section. That moves us to item 13, the Planning Commission Annual Meeting. So every year, the PC's current bylaws require that the Planning Commission, that they meet annually in May to review the prior year's work and progress made on implementing the comprehensive plan. It offers an accounting of work performed by the PC and the planning and zoning staff under delegated authority. This report is prepared for informational purposes for the Planning Commission and then sent to the BOCC for their review. Next slide, please. Next slide. So we'll start the work responsibilities of the PC and staff. They are divided into 4 basic categories. They're planning, zoning, development review, and administrative duties. Next slide. Under planning and Planning Commission review, the items that were reviewed, discussed, and acted on were 5 projects for capital improvement plan for consistency with the comprehensive plan. We received adequate public facilities overviews for schools. We received 2 adequate public facilities for school reports, one for fall and one for spring. And then we reviewed 4 town center master plan updates for the Prince Frederick, Dunkirk, and St. Leonard master plans. Next slide. Under zoning, the Planning Commission reviewed 5 text and/or map amendment cases and held 2 work sessions and 2 public hearings. Next slide. Under development review, under subdivisions, the Planning Commission reviewed 9 concepts, which 6 were minor and 3 were major, 11 minor preliminary plans, which consisted of 7 lots or fewer. They reviewed 12 minor subdivision final plats, 4 which were minor and 2 which were major plans that were recorded. We reviewed 68 replats, which 30 of those were recorded, and then 36 recording packages. And just as a note, as far as major preliminary or growth tier projects, we did not receive any in 2023. Next slide. This is still development review for site plans. The Planning Commission reviewed 6 pre-concept plans, 8 concept plans, 4 Category 1 and 4 Category 2. The Planning Commission reviewed 11 detailed site development plans, 5 which were Category 1 and 6 which were Category 2s. 9 red lines were reviewed and 3 administrative variances were processed. Next slide. For administrative duties.
Mayor,
Yes.
we need to pause just 1 second, we lost connection.
Okay, thank you.
You were on such a roll, too.
Yeah, she was.
It's coming through on Meetings on Demand. And you can go ahead. Meetings on Demand still on. It looks like it's just ready.
Great, okay, thank you. Okay, to proceed, the Planning Commission is also responsible for the following administrative duties. They prepare the annual meeting schedules, conduct regular and special meetings. They hold public and joint hearings with the BOCC. They review and adopt meeting minutes, review and updating of operating documents, electing of officers, preparing an annual report to the MDP, and attending training and conferences. Next slide. In conjunction with those administrative duties, this year, for 2023, the PC did the following. They held their 2023 annual meeting, where they reviewed the 2022 annual report. They reviewed the rules and procedures, reviewed and recommended changes to the bylaws. They formed a subcommittee to review the recommended changes for the bylaws. They voted to approve those changes with the bylaws. They elected new officers. Next slide. 2 members and the PCA attended the Summer and Winter Maryland Association of Counties Conferences, better known as MACO. 2 Planning Commission members and the PCA and staff attended the 40th Annual Maryland Planning Commissioners Association Conference, the MPCA. And 3 PC members, the Planning Commission Administrator and staff attended the Citizen Planner Awards Banquet hosted by the Maryland Department of Planning, where former Chairman Steve Jones received an award. They also presented Steve Jones a proclamation for his impeccable service as a member and chairman of the PC at their regular meeting. Next slide. In conclusion, if this report is acceptable, the Planning Commission may direct staff to send the 2023 Planning Commission Annual Report to the Board of County Commissioners for their review. Do we have any questions or comments on the report?
Can I have a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that the Planning Commission directs staff to send the Planning Commission annual report to the Board of County Commissioners for review.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're good, thank you.
All right, thank you. That brings us to item 13B, operating documents. Before you tonight, you will have a copy of the rules and procedures, which these changes were proposed last year in light of trying to make changes to the bylaws last year. The rules and procedures did not get acted on, so they are before you tonight. The only change for the rules and procedure are to bring the agendas for the Planning Commission and the Board of County Commissioners for joint meetings in line with each other so that the items match up. So that would be the only change to the rules and procedures. The bylaws you do have before you. If there are any recommended changes, the board may make recommendations tonight.
You know, our bylaws were just approved by the Board of County Commissioners, correct?
Yes, they were.
Yeah, thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, Commissioner.
Is there a procedure allowed or not allowed once public has spoke for a commissioner to give feedback? If that makes sense? Or to speak to the public person that is speaking?
Mr. Mangley? Why don't you take that one?
There is no rule on it, it's not, it's allowed. However, I would state this, the only problem with that is it's generally better to wait till their time has expired, and then any further questions or comments can be made. But that is subject to basically the individual commissioner's discretion. So I guess my answer is yes, it's allowed. I should have just said it that way, sorry.
Okay, no worries.
Is there something that you want to say, Ms. Williams?
No, I was just wondering
Okay,
if that
thank
had
you.
to be put
Okay.
into the rules.
All right, thank you.
Procedure.
Gotcha.
You're
Good.
welcome.
So at this time, we would need a motion on the Planning Commission rules and procedures.
Do I have a motion?
Will we we can't approve the changes on this tonight. We have to help me out on the direction for.
Yeah, the rules of procedure are different than the bylaws,
Yes.
Commissioner, in that, according to the new, I say new, it's not 3 years old now, resolution is just that all bylaws have to go to the BOCC for their final approval. Our individual rules of procedure, however, we don't have to
They
run them
don't.
by the
They're
county
ours, yeah.
commissioners.
They're ours, right. We own those, yes.
Thank you.
You have a question? That was it?
That was it.
Okay.
So the motion would be to accept the rules of procedures as amended?
Correct. Yes.
Yes, sir.
That would be my motion, to accept the rules and procedures as amended.
I would second that.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any opposed? Good, thank you.
Any discussion on the bylaws or recommended changes?
On the action on here, it says send out for 30-day notice. Are we sending the rules of procedure out for 30-day notice?
No, the bylaws, I think.
If you decide to change the bylaws, if there's any recommendations on the bylaws,
Yeah,
yes, they would have to go out.
From
Rules
what
of
they are now.
procedure, yeah, rules of procedure, we
They
can,
would
just
we
do
can
it.
change and amend those in-house.
All right, gotcha.
That's what I was clarifying.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
So we want to take no action on the bylaws, I believe. Correct? Correct.
We can do that by consensus.
Yes. We're good. Thank you.
All right, that moves us to item 13C, elections of officers. Mr. Acting Chair, would you like for me to start the nominations for chair?
Sure.
Okay. Just a note to the Planning Commission, the terms for chair and vice chair will expire on May 2025 with this election. The elected officers will serve for the term for the upcoming year, and then new officers will be put in place at the next annual meeting. As secretary, I am now seeking nominations from the floor for the office of chairman.
I have a motion, a nomination, I'm sorry. I'd like to nominate John Toohey for chair. If he'll accept.
I would certainly accept. Thank you, sir.
Second.
Okay, it has been approved and seconded that Mr. Toohey be elected chair of the Planning Commission. Any discussion?
I move the nominations for chair be closed.
Okay, at this time, we'll take voting. Everyone in favor? I'm sorry.
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Mr. Chair, I will now refer to you for nominations for vice chair. Mr. Toohey?
Do we have a motion for a vice chair?
I would
Sir?
nominate Wilson Freeland for vice chair.
I respectfully decline. There are more people here more senior to this commission than I am.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
I would like to nominate Mr. Kernan.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you.
Second.
Yes, I'll accept, yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We have a new vice chair. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Toohey, who motioned and seconded, please?
You
sorry?
need a second on them.
Motioned and seconded.
Who motioned and seconded on that? I'm sorry.
I had made the motion. I believe Mr. Freeland
I second.
seconded.
And Mr. Freeland seconded. Welcome. Mr. Mattingly?
Give me 1 second, just 1 second. I just need to verify something very quickly. Okay, I think we may need a new vice chair nomination. The vice chairperson is eligible for re-election subject to the condition that he or she shall serve not more than 2 consecutive full partial terms. Is this your second term already? Or is this your first term?
This would be my second term as vice chair.
The new one would be your second?
Yes.
We're good then. Okay. Outstanding. I just, for some reason, thought that this was the second time you were vice chair. Okay.
Not consecutive, no.
Okay.
Okay, so with that, we have a new chair, Mr. John Toohey, and vice chair, Mr. Kernan.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 We are stand adjourned. Thank you so much.
All right.